When you're going to Disneyland, the last thing you want is to wait in a line that doesn't even have a ride at the very end of it. Hi, my name is Kendall, and this is Wheelchair World Traveler, and in this video, I want to teach you the different mobility accommodations that Disneyland offers its guests. Let's get into the video. Before I talk about the different types of accommodations that will be available to you, I want to address the different types of vehicles that you will be seeing at the Disneyland attractions. These are transfer accessible vehicles and wheelchair accessible vehicles. Transfer accessible vehicles means that the ride has been modified in such a way or assistance is offered to help the individual transfer from their mobility device to the vehicle itself. Wheelchair accessible vehicles are when the ride itself can have a wheelchair drive on it. The wheelchair is then strapped onto the vehicle, and the individual can enjoy the ride and experience from their wheelchair. An example of a transfer accessible vehicle is the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, where since the ride itself is a dark ride and it features a boat floating on water, individuals can request a transfer seat in which a seat will be attached to the boat temporarily, and you'll be able to swing yourself from your mobility device onto the boat, and so you can safely transfer onto the boat from there. Once you are finished with the ride, a cast member will then attach the transfer seat again, and you will then transfer from the boat onto your wheelchair. A good example of a wheelchair accessible vehicle is Ariel's Undersea Adventure. In this ride, you can see that the cart deploys a ramp. I then drive up onto the cart gets strapped in by cast members, and from the perspective of my wheelchair, I'm able to enjoy the ride. If you want to see a more in-depth review of wheelchair accessible vehicles, I made a video on Spider-Man Web Slingers, which is also a wheelchair accessible vehicle. And so go ahead and click on this title card if you're interested in seeing that. And then you can hop back over to this video. Ding! I will be leaving the official Disneyland recommendations packet in the description box below, which will go into more detail on which rides are wheelchair accessible and which rides are transfer accessible. The original Disneyland park was built in 1955, and at that time, people were not thinking of anything related to universal design or accommodating for people with mobility devices. And now ideologies and cultures have changed, in large part to disability activist groups. Happy ADA 35th anniversary, by the way. And because of those activist groups, companies and different cultures have adapted to people who use mobility devices as well as other people with different types of disabilities. To now accommodate for people with mobility devices, that is why you will most likely be entering through the back entrance of a ride when you are going through the older attractions at Disneyland. Again, that is provided in the information packet that will be given in the description box below. And the Disneyland website will also show you which rides require a location return time. Now moving on to the accommodations portion. I'm going to start with something that is called a location return time. A location return time is given to an individual when they want to ride an attraction that doesn't have an accessible entrance. And this is because the lines can be too small to accommodate those who are using a mobility device. So in this situation, you go to a cast member that can be either found in the beginning or end of a line. They are going to scan your ticket, and then they are going to give you a location return time. The location return time is based on the amount of time that the guests who are waiting in the physical line are waiting. So your time isn't different, it isn't faster compared to the other guests that are waiting in the physical line. It is the exact amount of time. And again, it's the equivalent of virtually waiting in that line because you cannot physically wait in that line yourself. I also want to clarify that a location return time is only applicable to the older rides at Disneyland and is not applicable to the rides at Disneyland California Adventure, as the park was created in 2001. Now, the location return time entry program is not the same as a Disability Access Service Pass, or what is commonly known as a DOS Pass. Now, the DOS program used to apply to a larger range of disabilities, and last year that program has now only applied to people who are on the autism spectrum disorder or people who have similar disabilities to that. And while I am not here to provide my opinion on that, as I want this video to be strictly informative, I do want to still include this service or accommodation in this video, as it might still be applicable to some of my viewers. Individuals who qualify for the Disney Access Service program will then be able to schedule most of the rides from their phone, and they will be virtually waiting in the queue for that ride. And unlike the location return time, this program does not only apply to the older rides, it applies to most of the rides, both in Disneyland Park and Disneyland California Adventure Park. In order to receive this service, you do have to schedule an appointment with Disneyland customer service, and then a service agent will either ask you or members of your party why you need this service. And then based on how the interview goes is whether or not you receive that service. Again, this service is now specifically for those who have developmental disabilities, who are on the autism spectrum disorder, or have a disability similar to that. Now, if you don't qualify for DOS, this next accommodation might be for you. I want to talk about something that is called a rider switch program, in which your party gets split into two groups, Group A and Group B. Group A will physically wait in the attraction line, and during this time, Group B can be outside in a shaded area, perhaps grabbing a cold drink or something like that. And when Group A is done riding the attraction, Group B will then rescan their tickets, and they will be allowed to go in the fast lane and immediately or close to immediately go on to the attraction. This is great if you have a difficult time waiting in lines and you did not qualify for DOS, or if you have a service dog and you want someone to look after them or always be with them, and for some reason the service dog cannot be on the ride. Oh, by the way, there are a lot of attractions in which your service dog can ride the attraction, and that is, again, information that is provided in the information packet that will be in the description box below. But if for some reason your service dog cannot go with you due to the nature of the attraction, this is also a good accommodation, as it ensures that someone will be with your service dog or service animal. So to clarify, for the return to entry time and for the rider switch program, you do not need to visit customer services. But for the DOS program, Disability Access Service program, you do need approval from a cast member. And you can schedule an appointment with them virtually before your visit to Disneyland, which I highly, highly, highly recommend, because you don't want to wait in the customer service line on the day of the Disney. Trust me, you don't. No one wants that. So for the Disability Access Service Program, you will need to schedule an appointment with a cast member. You can do so online through the Disneyland website. But for the location return time or for the rider switch program, you would just go up to a cast member that is either in the front or the back of the line, and they will scan your ticket. So you do not need to go to customer service for those two programs, but yes, on the Disability Access Service Program. And that is it for this video, travelers. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you found it informative and useful. If you did, please give this video a comment and a like, and please, please, please subscribe to my channel. And if you made it to the very end of this video, leave a green heart emoji. I hope to see you soon, travelers, but until next time, enjoy your journey.